So by this time, we've done a lot of things with Python programming, just generic Python programming concepts. And so I think you might start to think to yourself, well, why are we doing all this stuff? What do we care about? You know, loops and getting input and all this stuff. I just want to make a black circle go from 2 degrees to 20 degrees in 250 milliseconds, and I want to do that 15 times. All right. So what I'm going to do here is just quickly give you a glimpse into the future, into the program that I have written to show you the way that I've answered the problem of building this stimulus. Now, there are many ways that I could have answered this. This is just one way. So the way that I'm presenting it may not be the way that you would have done it. But that's the nature of coding and problem solving, is there's different ways to deal with the problem and how you answer it. Anyway, I'll show you what I've done. And so here is the program that will generate the stimulus. That's me. And there's lots of stuff here. I recognize there's lots of stuff here. Yep, you can see it that you can't see. Sorry, that probably is you won't know what's going on. But if we just go through this, hopefully there are some things that as we go down, you'll start to recognize, oh, hang on, that's something that we've got already familiar with, that we've done. So here we go. If I've got an if statement here, so I'm controlling the program. I've got an else statement here. I've got a while loop here, and you'll see that this while loop has a condition and a colon at the end, and then everything is indented for this while loop. I've got a new line, so we're printing new lines here. Okay, so here we go. We've got a for loop. And then he's given us a second for loop immediately after the first for loop. And then we've got another for loop inside a for loop. Oh my goodness, it's like for loopception. We'll go through nesting loops. And then we've got another while loop. And then we've got if, else if statements. This is me cleaning up some communications as ZMQ sockets. Right? And then we've got this other stuff at the end. If name is main. Okay, so we won't worry about this too much, but you see some of the stuff that we've gone through can be used for this stimulus. I won't play this for you at the moment, but this is where we're heading up to. Okay, but before then, we need to talk about lists and tuples. Up until now, we've just assigned a variable. So here, we've just assigned it a single element inside that variable. So we've said, hey, Python, please put a container of memory, and into that, we're going to put the number 3, the integer 3, and it's going to be called A. What if we actually want to have a bit of memory contain 5 different things, or 10 things, or 2 things? How do we do that? Well, this is a list. So we can say to Python, okay, this is going to be a list, so we make a square brackets, and then the items or elements in the list we separate with a comma. So 3, 5, 42, this number, and then 323, let's say. So here we've asked Python to put a container of memory aside, and then we've got in that the number 3, the number 5, the number 42, that number, and 323. So the first element is 3. The second element is 5. So I can change these, the values inside this list if I want to later. Let's just see what happens when we print out the list. So we'll print out A, and we'll also print out the type. What type of data is A? So we'll come over here, we'll go to list demo, and we've got an invalid syntax, and it says syntax error, line 7. What's going on? Ah, you see, I've put a space here, but no comma. So we have to separate elements inside the list or array with a comma. Let's try this again. There we go. So it's printed out 3, 5, 42, that number, and 323, and it says it's the classed list. So variable equals list of items separated by commas. Okay? And we can change this. And it's the data type list. Great. What if we want to access just the third number in that array? We don't want to print the whole array. We just want the third number. So we can go print A3. We'll go 3. What I'll do is I'll print a new line between these so it's split up. Go back to here. So it's printed out the whole list here, and then we've asked it to print just the third element. And it says 45098. So we go the third element. 0, 1, 2, 3. Actually, that's the fourth element, isn't it? Because remember, Python counts from 0. So the third element is 42, but it's printed out 45098. So this is the 0th element, the first element, the second element. So number A2. So I wanted to print out 42. And then when I tried to print out it, because I thought it was the third one, it actually printed this one out, because remember, Python counts from 0. So now if we do this, it should print out 42. There we go, 42. So that's another thing that we have to just be careful of. 0th counting. Now, can we have string list? So these are all integers, right? Can I make a list of strings? Yeah, of course. Andrew, whoops. So hang on, we'll go Boris. So the quotes here, make it turn it into a string, and then we separate them with a comma, and then we go Matsuo, and then we have Chantel, and then we have Ray, Dwayne. I don't know why I thought about that last name. Right, so can we now print string list, and we'll print type string lists. Yes, there we go. So it's still a list. We've got the square brackets around it now, each item separated by a comma. In the string case, we need to put the quotes, but we've got the list here. So that means that we should be able to access, let's say I want to access Chantel, the name Chantel. I don't want to access her, just Chantel. So that will be, Chantel is 012. Okay, so print string lists and square brackets, second element here, and then we'll see what we get out. Oops, I asked for the wrong thing. Loop demo, no, we want list demo. Okay, let's go back here. List demo, great. So we're printing out the whole list here, and then we wanted just this, just Chantel, which is the third element. There's Chantel there, and the class list. So that is a list. Well, what can we do with lists? There's a function that we can do called append. In English, append means add to the end. So if we now go for I in range 10, so now we're going to do something 10 times. We want to print hello, just adding the next number to the end, and we want to add I. Alright, so what we'll do is we'll make a list, but we'll make it empty. So here we're signaling to Python, okay, we want a bit of memory, we'll call it A, and this will be a list. This will quicken or make more easy the appending to create a long list. We're only doing it 10 times, but let's say we're doing it 1,000,000 times. So if we signal to Python, hey, we're going to make a big long list before, it will initialize that, set it aside, and so therefore it will quicken up the for loop, as opposed to just sneaking up on it. So we want to I plus equals, no, we don't need to do that, do we? Because it already increments. So now we want a dot append, and we want to append I to A. So what am we doing here? So A is the object. In this case, it's the empty array. And so into that, we want to append I. So this is how we get Python to talk to the element or the thing that we want to append into. It's the dot. So in A, we want to access the append function, and we want to append into that the number I. What we'll do is, once we've done that loop, we'll print A out. So let's print A at the start. So we'll say A at the start is and then we'll say A at the end is what do we get? So A at the start is the empty container, the empty list. And then we've printed out, hey, just adding the number to the end. So then it adds 0, put 0 in. And then the next time it loops around, this is still true. It prints this out, and then it will add to the end I. And it has made I increment by 1, so then it adds I, the number 1, to the end. How do we know that this is actually occurring? Well, let's print A as it goes through it. So we can actually see it added onto the end, the numbers onto the end. We won't do it so many times, we'll just do it 5 times. In this case, we'll clear the screen here. So here we go. A at the start is 0. That's, well, sorry, not 0, it's nothing, it's empty. And then it says, okay, just adding the next number to the end, and the number is 0. And so you see now A now contains 0. It then comes up to the top. I is now 1. 1 is in the range of 5, correct. It then prints this out and puts the number 1 there, so yes. It then adds or appends the number 1 into A, and then it prints A out. So then 1 is at the end of the array. By end, it's the highest index. So now we've got 0, 1. And then it comes to the top. I is now incremented to 2. 2 is in the range. It will then print out the number 2 here. Yep. It then appends 2 to the end of A. A is stored in memory, so it's not going to start from a 0 from the empty array and just continue putting in stuff into an empty array, but rather it remembers, hey, we had 0, then 1, and then 2 in this case, then 3, then 4. So we're actually building up that array. So here is one way of building up a list. And we can, after we've built that list, we can access any element in that array. So let's say we want to get A2, so that would be 0, 1, 2. So we want the number 2. So you see, at the end, it's printed out the number 2. We'll get rid of this print statement. We'll get rid of that. We know that it works. You see how now we can create another variable, we'll call it B, and that equals the second element of A times 3, for instance, and then we'll print B out. So you see, we can actually go in and change, we can access that value in that list, play around with it, and then print it out, for example. So this should be, the second element of A is 0, 1, 2, so that should be 2. 2 times 3 is 6. B should now print out 6. Yes, it's printed out 6 at the end. I'm printing this out during the for loop. We don't want that. So it's printed out 6. Right. So can we actually take that number out from the list, so A2, take that out, multiply it, and then put it back in. So A2 equals A2 plus 3, and then we'll print A. We'll get rid of that, because we know that we've initialized it as an empty array. 0, 1, 6, 3, 4. So you see how now we can go into that list, pull out that number, play around with it, and then put it back to where it was before by using this index, square brackets, to get the element from that list. We can do the same thing for string lists as well. So we could say string list 2. So remember, that's going to be 0, 1, 2, so that's still Chantel. We'll say now that equals salad. Saladin. Print string lists. We can get rid of this. Traceback. Name string list is not defined. What did I do wrong? I didn't put the S there. Andrew is an idiot. So here we go. Boris, Matsuo, Chantel, Dwayne is what we started with. I went in, got the 0, 1, 2. I got Chantel out, and I turned that value now into Saladin. Boris, Matsuo, Saladin, Dwanye, Dwayne. So we can do similar things on lists as well. I'll keep this video here. It's probably already long enough as it is. In the next video, we will talk about tuples. There are some differences with tuples and lists, and I use both when we make that. We will use both when we make that program. So I'll leave this one here.